It's September 11th, 2024, and all eyes are on Caitlin Clark as the Indiana Fever go head-to-head with the reigning champions, the Las Vegas Aces. The stakes couldn't be higher for the Fever, with Caitlin Clark leading the charge to upset the defending champs. On the other side, A'ja Wilson and the Aces are determined to protect their crown. But after Clark takes the hit, everything changes. What exactly happened? How will this impact the rest of the game? Could this hit spark a growing rift between the league's veterans and its rising stars? Will Clark's name become more than just a symbol of talent, but also of division within the WNBA? And what does this moment say about the Aces' mentality? Are they willing to do anything to protect their title, even take down the league's newest face? And more importantly, how did Caitlin Clark respond? The game kicks off with the Fever, who wasted no time making their intentions clear. Just seconds in, Kelsey Mitchell drove to the rim and banked in an easy 2 points. Lexi Hull followed that up, showing her sharp shooting skills with a quick three-pointer. Indiana came out swinging. Before Vegas could catch their breath, Aliyah Boston added 2 more points and the Fever had a 7-point lead. But if anyone thought the Aces were rattled, A'ja Wilson was there to prove otherwise. She knocked down 2 clean mid-range jumpers, making it clear that she'd be tough to contain. Not one to back down, Caitlin Clark made a move toward the basket, drawing contact and scoring. She calmly sank her free throw, keeping Indiana ahead. The two teams went back and forth with fierce energy, but as the buzzer sounded, Tiffany Hayes drained a clutch 3, giving Vegas a narrow 20-18 lead by the end of the first quarter. As the second quarter got underway, the Aces began to find their rhythm. Tiffany Hayes continued to shine, setting up Megan Gustafson for an easy layup. Hayes then added 2 more points from the line, and the Aces were gaining momentum. Chelsea Gray got in on the action, gliding in for a layup, while Caitlin Clark answered with a trademark three-pointer of her own. Vegas didn't let up, though. Aliyah Clark fired off back-to-back three-pointers, stretching the lead. Indiana wasn't about to fade as Aliyah Boston dished out to Mitchell, who nailed a jumper, and Mitchell kept cool at the line for 2 free throws. Still, Chelsea Gray kept the pressure on, refusing to let Indiana get comfortable. By halftime, the Aces held a 9-point lead, 41-32, with contributions from key players like Chelsea Gray and Aliyah Clark. Indiana had their moments, but the Aces' steady play kept them in control. Indiana came out of the break determined to claw back into the game. Jackie Young got things rolling for Vegas with a smooth jumper. Kelsey Mitchell went to the line but missed, although Aliyah Boston quickly recovered, setting up Mitchell for a layup. Just as Indiana looked like they might cut into the lead, Kelsey Plum swiped the ball from Mitchell and scored. But Mitchell wasn't having it, immediately answering with a three-pointer to keep Indiana within striking distance. The back and forth continued. Caitlin Clark found Boston in the paint, but she missed, only for Nalissa Smith to come through with a timely tip-in. Chelsea Gray kept piling on points, sinking free throws, while Smith and Boston hustled on the offensive glass, cleaning up missed shots to keep Indiana in the game. Tensions began to rise as Kelsey Plum attempted another steal from Mitchell, only for the refs to step in. Lexi Hull nailed her free throws, and Plum responded by draining a 3. As the quarter came to a close, Indiana's chances hung in the balance. At the end of the third, Vegas held on to a 64-57 lead, with both teams showing incredible determination. The final quarter kicked off with Aliyah Clark hitting 2 from the charity stripe, but Kelsey Mitchell quickly fired back with a three-pointer, keeping Indiana's hopes alive. However, Vegas had no plans to let this one slip away. Kaya Stokes answered with a corner 3, and Timmy Bentley followed up with a layup. A'ja Wilson was as reliable as ever, hitting a mid-range jumper and sinking 2 free throws after being fouled. Indiana fought desperately to stay in it, with Mitchell hitting another 3, but Wilson continued her relentless attack, adding more points from mid-range. As the minutes ticked away, Caitlin Clark found Bentley with a perfect bounce pass for a layup, but time was running out. Aliyah Clark's corner 3 all but sealed the game. When the dust settled, the Las Vegas Aces emerged victorious, 86-75. Indiana had come out strong, riding the energy of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, but the Aces' balanced offense proved too much. A'ja Wilson was the key, consistently hitting big shots and anchoring the Aces with her leadership. Chelsea Gray and Aliyah Clark provided invaluable support, while Kelsey Plum added clutch baskets. Despite a valiant effort from Indiana, particularly from Smith and Bentley, they couldn't overcome Vegas' firepower. In the end, the Aces once again showed why they're one of the most formidable teams in the WNBA. In what many are calling one of the pivotal moments of the game, Caitlin Clark took a hard foul from Jackie Young as she drove to the basket during the third quarter. The physicality of the play sent Clark to the floor, and the arena held its breath. Although shaken, Clark displayed her trademark resilience, quickly getting back on her feet and sinking both free throws to keep Indiana in the fight. This moment highlighted the intense competition between the teams, with emotions running high as the Fever desperately tried to close the gap on the Aces. Clark's impact on the game was undeniable. Despite being targeted by Las Vegas's tough defense, she continued to contribute across the board, adding crucial points and facilitating her teammates. Clark ended the game with 19 points, while also dishing out 6 assists, grabbing 7 rebounds, and providing the leadership Indiana so desperately needed. It wasn't just her scoring that kept Indiana in the game. Her court vision and ability to stay calm under pressure were just as critical. The foul by Jackie Young, though not labeled a flagrant, stirred some controversy post-game. Clark refrained from commenting on the officiating, but her play spoke volumes. She didn't let the incident derail her focus, and her ability to keep pushing forward even after being knocked down further solidified her as one of the league's rising stars. As for A'ja Wilson and the Aces, they used the moment to reinforce their dominance. Wilson, scoring a game-high 23 points, was an unstoppable force throughout the game. The incident with Clark, while dramatic, was just a footnote in a fierce battle, with both teams leaving everything on the court. The final score of 86-75 was a testament to the competitive nature of this matchup. This game on September 11th wasn't just about basketball, it was a lot more. Caitlin Clark, one of the most talked about players in the WNBA, took a hard foul from Jackie Young, but that's only part of the story. Behind the scenes, bigger issues are brewing in the league. A'ja Wilson, the reigning MVP, has openly criticized the WNBA for promoting Clark more than anyone else, saying it's unfair and even hinting that race plays a role in it. This isn't just about who wins or loses anymore. It's about who's in the spotlight, who gets attention, and why. Keep watching, because the drama surrounding these players goes far beyond the court and is changing the way people see the WNBA. And this isn't just Wilson venting. Her frustrations are echoed by other players in the league who feel the WNBA's spotlight is tilted heavily towards Clark, even though she's only a rookie. After all, Clark has been everywhere. Huge endorsement deals, non-stop media attention, even a shoe contract with Nike, straight out of college. This kind of star treatment isn't sitting well with veterans like Wilson, who, despite her accolades and dominance on the court, feels overlooked. The controversy about Clark's race and how that ties into the league's marketing decisions is making waves not just inside the WNBA, but in wider media too. Let's not forget the timing of all this. The league is approaching a turning point. Charter flights are still a major issue, with teams struggling to get the same resources that men's leagues take for granted. Now, throw Clark into the mix, white, marketable, and hyped like no other player, and you can see why players like Wilson are boiling. Some are even questioning whether Clark's rise is partly responsible for her being snubbed from Team USA for the Paris Olympics. Clark's absence has become a hot topic, and while she hasn't publicly spoken much about it, you can sense the tension behind the scenes. This isn't just a story of a rookie making waves. The hit Clark took in this game is symbolic of the battles happening off the court. Some see Clark as the future of the league, while others believe she's being pushed into the spotlight at the expense of other deserving players. Add to that the fact that Clark has been relatively quiet amidst the criticism, choosing instead to let her performances speak for her, only fuels the media storm around her. Every move she makes is respected not just for her stats, but for what it represents in this growing narrative. The rivalry between Clark and Wilson isn't just two elite players facing off, it's the battleground for a much bigger fight about recognition, race, and who gets to be the face of women's basketball. As this season heats up, so does the tension. And trust me, it's far from over. These storylines are about to explode. Stay tuned, because what's unfolding in the WNBA right now is going to shape its future for years to come. Thanks for tuning into this breakdown. If you enjoyed the recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow fans. See you in the next one.
The WNBA has produced a plethora of tremendous talent throughout the years, with legends shaping the game in ways that will be remembered for centuries. From powerful post players to explosive guards, the league has produced some of the most talented basketball players in history. Among these legends, Sheryl Swoopes and Cynthia Cooper stand out not only for their achievements, but also for their contributions to the league's growth and visibility. However, in recent years, a brewing feud between these two iconic figures has drawn attention to a larger issue in the WNBA: the changing dynamics between veterans and rising stars, particularly in the case of Caitlin Clark, the young phenom who has shaken up the league in unprecedented ways.
This isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that.
Before delving into the core of Swoops and Cooper's disagreement, it's critical to understand the circumstances that have led to this friction. Caitlin Clark, a WNBA rookie, has taken the league by storm. Her on-court performance has been nothing short of remarkable, with record-breaking statistics that have astounded both fans and pundits. Clark has broken over 60 records in her first season alone, which is nearly unheard of for a player at this stage of their career. She has not only succeeded in scoring, but has also been a leader in assists, demonstrating her ability to improve her teammates' performances.
Continues to be box office. Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA in average.
Clark's ability to shoot from long range, reminiscent of NBA greats, combined with her court vision and passing skills, has made her a complete player. She's more than just a scorer. She's a playmaker, a floor general, and a game tempo control specialist. Her impact has been felt throughout the league, and she has already been compared to some of the best WNBA players in history. However, great success brings great scrutiny, and not everyone agrees that Clark is the next big thing in women's basketball. Sheryl Swoops, one of the most decorated players in WNBA history, has expressed her reservations about Clark's meteoric rise. Swoops, who was the first player signed by the WNBA when it was founded in 1996, understands what it takes to succeed in the professional ranks. She won 3 MVP awards and 4 WNBA championships, and was instrumental in building the league's reputation during its early years. Despite her admiration for Clark's talent, Swoops has not been shy in expressing her doubts about the young star's rapid rise to fame. In a now infamous statement, Swoops questioned whether Clark's accomplishments were truly as groundbreaking as they appeared. Swoops also noted that Clark has the benefit of an extra year of college eligibility because of the COVID-19 epidemic, allowing her to beat records established by athletes like Kelsey Plum in a shorter amount of time.
Set that record in 4 years. Well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean?
Swoops' words sparked a blaze of discussion, with fans and teammates taking sides. On one side, many agreed with Swoops' observation that comparing players across various periods may be problematic, particularly when the rules and conditions are not the same. On the other side, opponents accused Swoops of downplaying Clark's accomplishments out of a feeling of insecurity or envy. Sheryl Swoops' appraisal of Caitlin Clark's ascent in the WNBA generated a discussion over how legends see the next generation of players. Some believe that Swoops' comments come from a place of protective pride for the standards set by players of her era. Swoops, after all, had to battle for every ounce of notoriety she got while playing in a league that was fighting for attention and respect. The problems she experienced were not the same as those faced by today's athletes, and logically, she would react differently to records being broken under different circumstances.
Already had an extra year to break that record. So is it?
Others say Swoops' criticism derives from jealousy. At such a young age, Caitlin Clark is already doing things that many veterans only dream of. Athletes who formerly controlled their sport may feel apprehensive when a new talent appears and begins to dominate the headlines. Whether Swoops' remarks are based on fair criticism or personal sentiments, they have highlighted a larger issue: the conflict between the old guard and the new school. The WNBA is no stranger to generational splits, and Swoops' remarks are symptomatic of the friction that can occur when young talents begin to overshadow the legends who paved the path. It's a natural development in athletics, but one that frequently leads to conflict, particularly when the older players feel their legacies are being challenged.
But as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is, I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't.
Enter Cynthia Cooper, another WNBA great and former teammate of Swoops during the Houston Comets' glory years. Cooper, known for her fierce competitiveness and clutch performances, has taken a very different approach in evaluating Caitlin Clark. Rather than criticizing the young star, Cooper has emerged as one of her most vocal supporters.
I heard, and I can imagine, because it's not today, but back in the day, you can't find 10 women at a playground ready to play ball. So
Cooper has lauded Clark's skill set, work ethic, and effect on the league, even suggesting that she may be the key to propelling the WNBA to new heights. Unlike Swoops, Cooper believes that the league needs to evolve and grow, and that young players like Clark are critical to that process. She has urged her fellow veterans to help the younger generation rather than tear them down, claiming that mentoring and encouragement would eventually revitalize the WNBA. Cooper's attitude is more than simply protecting Clark. It is also about calling for a culture reform inside the league. She feels that Clark's success helps everyone, not just him. More attention to the WNBA, more spectators in the stands, and more sponsorship revenue mean that the league as a whole can expand, and future players will have more possibilities. Cooper believes that the growth of a player like Clark should be celebrated rather than feared.
12, winning on the road with Kelsey Mitchell, the absolute truth. I'm sitting there.
Swoops and Cooper's opposing viewpoints have caused a noticeable schism between the two WNBA icons. What was once a strong on-court partnership with the Houston Comets has evolved into a public disagreement over the league's direction. This divide has only grown as fans and players have taken sides in the debate.
Point shooter. She's a great passer, not a mediocre passer, not so-so. She is a great passer, but also she's crafty.
For many, the conflict between Swoops and Cooper is symptomatic of a greater generational rift within the WNBA. The league is at a crossroads, with the old generation of players who created the league from the ground up now seeing their records and legacies challenged by a new wave of talent. This is not unique to the WNBA. It occurs in every sport when newer players come in and push the limits of what was previously deemed achievable.
Away from what she's done, but if you're talking about breaking records, then if this player did it in this amount of time, then
However, in the case of Swoops and Cooper, the conflict appears to be more than just a disagreement over Caitlin Clark. It raises fundamental questions about how the WNBA should move forward. Should the league continue to honor and protect its pioneers' achievements, or should it embrace the new era with open arms, even if it means breaking records and milestones set by legends like Swoops?
Records. There seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Cheryl.
The role of social media in the Swoops-Cooper debate is an important consideration. In the age of Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, debates like these can quickly spiral out of control, with fans and commentators amplifying every comment and escalating minor disagreements into full-fledged debates. Swoops' initial comments about Clark were shared rapidly and dissected on social media, resulting in a wave of backlash that may have been more intense than in a pre-social media era. Similarly, Cooper's defense of Clark has received a boost from social media, with supporters rallying behind her message of support and mentoring. The debate between Swoops and Cooper has taken on a life of its own, with hashtags and memes circulating online as fans take sides in the feud. Social media has transformed what may have been a private debate into a public spectacle, and in doing so, it has compelled both Swoops and Cooper to double down on their respective viewpoints.
Do you have any idea how that serves to stain any kind?
Caught in the thick of this rivalry is Caitlin Clark herself. Despite the controversy surrounding her rise, Clark has remained committed to her game and continues to perform at an elite level. However, there's no denying that the attention generated by the Swoops-Cooper feud has added a new layer of pressure to her young career. Clark has been thrown into the limelight in ways that few rookies ever are, and she suddenly finds herself at the heart of a discussion over the future of the league.
How'd you feel about your first performance?
Yeah, I thought we played really hard. Just a great atmosphere for women's basketball. I think it's a good kickoff to the WNBA season.
For her part, Clark has handled the issue with grace, accepting the comments from veterans like Swoops while continuing to show thanks for the opportunity she has been given. In interviews, Clark has made it obvious that she appreciates the players who came before her and knows the value of their contributions to the league. At the same time, the WNBA is experiencing rapid growth. Television ratings are rising, sponsorship deals are expanding, and young stars like Caitlin Clark are attracting new fans to the sport. To continue to thrive, the league must find a way to honor its past while also welcoming the future. This entails encouraging the growth of new talent, even if it means breaking records and surpassing legends. In the midst of this, Cynthia Cooper has called for WNBA unity. She believes that the league is stronger when its players, both past and present, are working together toward a common goal. Cooper has urged her fellow veterans to mentor the younger generation, to help them navigate the challenges of professional basketball, and to be proud of the fact that the league they helped build is now thriving.
Bridge that gap between what's going on today and what we experience, and it will help the younger generation to know our experiences so that they don't make the same mistakes and we can.
Cooper's message is one of hope and optimism. She believes that the WNBA has the potential to become one of the premier professional sports leagues in the world, but that this can only happen if the players and the league itself embrace change. For Cooper, Caitlin Clark represents the future of the WNBA, and she wants to make sure that the young star has the support she needs to succeed. Just know that the WNBA is at a turning point, and how it navigates this moment will determine its trajectory for years to come. Whether Sheryl Swoopes and Cynthia Cooper can resolve their disagreements remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the future of the WNBA is bright, and athletes like Caitlin Clark are leading the way. At the same time, she has also highlighted that she is focused on creating her stamp on the game and helping to drive the WNBA to new heights. The conflict between Sheryl Swoopes and Cynthia Cooper is not just a personal feud between two legends. It's a reflection of the WNBA's current state. The league is at a crossroads, with a new generation of players like Caitlin Clark poised to take the game to the next level. The question is whether the WNBA will embrace this new era or be stifled by rivalries between the old guard and the rising stars. The WNBA faces a significant challenge in balancing respect for its history with the need for growth and evolution. The league is still relatively new, having been founded in 1996, and many of its pioneers are still active in the sport, whether as coaches, commentators, or ambassadors. This creates a unique dynamic in which the past is always present, and the accomplishments of players such as Swoopes remain fresh in the minds of both fans and players. Caitlin Clark's focus-driven approach on the basketball court has garnered her great notoriety, but what she accomplished on September 15, 2024, was nothing short of miraculous. Clark's unwavering dedication, smart playmaking, and unrivaled scoring talent resulted in an evening that WNBA fans will never forget. Clark surpassed the WNBA rookie single-season scoring record against the Dallas Wings, which Simone Augustus had held for over 20 years. Clark's career-high 35 points not only helped the Indiana Fever win a key game, but also cemented her spot as one of the league's finest players. Caitlin Clark's climb to WNBA fame has always been fueled by concentration. Her ability to remain focused under duress has been one of her distinguishing attributes, from her time at the University of Iowa to her rise to prominence in professional basketball. But that fateful night, Clark's concentration was sharper than ever. She went into the game knowing she had the potential to surpass Augustus's record, but it wasn't the stats that drove her. It was the drive to win, compete, and leave all on the court. Her determination and focus paid off in the most spectacular manner conceivable as she lit up the scoreboard and led her side to victory. Ship for the Wings with a jumper, but Clark's relentless scoring continued. She moved past defenders, finding her rhythm and driving in for a jumper, adding 2 more points to her total. Moments later, she drained another three-pointer, putting the Fever within striking distance of the Wings. Clark for her pinpoint accuracy.
Part of the challenge.
Mitchell quickly responded with one of her own, a foul, and calmly hit all of her free throws, adding to her already amazing score. A.R. O'Galley of Dallas scored a 2-pointer for the Wings, but Kelsey Mitchell responded with a long 3-pointer off a pass to maintain Indiana ahead. Sabali responded with a contested layup, but Clark's playmaking skills were on full show when she found Erica Dantas followed up with another 3-pointer to keep the Fever in charge. Natasha Howard answered with a silky 2-pointer for Dallas, but Caitlin Clark was unstoppable. After drawing another foul, she converted NBA history. Surpassing Simone Augustus's single-season scoring record was a momentous feat, but for Clark, the emphasis was always on winning. Her ability to concentrate under pressure, her great scoring touch, and her leadership on the floor have elevated her to the league's top ranks. As the Fever goes through the decade with, and her career is just starting. With this win, The Indiana Fever have established themselves as genuine competitors, and Caitlin Clark's leadership will surely be a key factor in their success. Fans and observers alike are in awe of what Clark did on that incredible night, and the WNBA's future seems brighter than ever with women like her leading the way.
The WNBA MVP race has long been one of basketball's hottest subjects, and it is heating up again this season. But this time, Demita has a notion that will make you doubt the overall fairness of the MPV system. Rachel Demita doesn't simply yell. She supports her claims with statistics. When you look at the figures, things begin to become really fascinating. Clark not only scores more than most MVP contenders, but she also assists more, steals more, and makes more three-pointers.
Physicality, that is where I'm not sure.
Jordan was regarded as the most valuable player year after year, not just because of his statistics, but also because of what he represented to his club and the league. Demita contends that Clark's influence on the Indiana Fever is equal. The Fever were one of the thing, and Demita is irritated that it doesn't.
My top three: A'ja Wilson, Caitlin Clark, and Nafisa Collier. If we look at their stats, A'ja wipes the floor with
Demita feels Clark should not only be in the MVP debate, but also the top three. Clark's performance, according to Demita, is too amazing to pass up, and it goes beyond stats. It is about what she contributes to the team and the league as a whole. Rachel goes out on a limb towards legitimacy. To make her argument, Rachel Demita compares Clark's debut season to that of another WNBA icon. It was nothing short of legendary, but according to Demita, Clark is outperforming Parker in important category averages more. So, why isn't Clark being touted as the next great thing, as Parker was? This is where Demita's case becomes more pointed. The WNBA seems to be adjusting the goalposts for Clark in ways that other players have not. This points to a far larger problem in women's basketball: how the WNBA handles its budding stars. Demita believes that by ignoring a talent like Clark, the league is sending the wrong message. Essentially, the WNBA is teaching young athletes that no matter how good they play, they will not WNBA's future and how it handles its most talented players. What does the lack of acknowledgement for athletes like Clark indicate about the league's priorities? One of Demita's most convincing arguments is that the MVP award is fundamentally subjective. It's not only about the numbers, it's about the players' stories, the influence they make on their teams, and even the prejudices of those voting.
Start to have this conversation. The MVP award is subjective. It's very hard to just go by numbers and hand out.
Demita draws analogies to the NBA MVP argument when players like Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander were argued to be more deserving. She claims that the same subjectivity exists in the WNBA, which is why athletes like Clark are disregarded despite having the numbers to back up their claims. Of course, the discussion of the WNBA MVP race is only complete with mentioning A'ja Wilson. She's definitely one of the finest players in the game right now, and Demita knows it. However, Demita contends that Wilson's domination should not exclude other players from being considered.
Yes. Is she a more valuable player to her team than Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier? That is where I'm not sure.
Yes, Wilson is the league's top player, but the MVP race should not be a given conclusion. Demita feels there is still space for argument, and players like Clark and Collier should be included in the discourse. One of the most contentious components of the MVP race is how much emphasis is placed on team performance. Demita wonders whether this is fair, particularly in a league like the WNBA, where not all clubs are created equal.
Because I think that there's a case to be made for Caitlin, and there's also a case to be made for Nafisa, and there might also be a case to be made for Stewie simply because the Liberty have been so dominant this season.
Clark may not be heading the league's greatest squad, but her contributions to the Indiana Fever are unmistakable. Demita believes that this kind of individual influence should be included even if the Fever isn't the top team in the rankings. Rachel Demita's argument revolves around a demand for change. She feels the WNBA should reconsider its MVP qualifications and make the process more open. Right now, it seems like the goalposts are continuously moving, and athletes like Clark are caught in the crossfire. Demita advocates for a more holistic approach to judging MVP candidates, one that considers not just numbers but also individual effect, team chemistry, and the season's overall context.
To even be, like this article says, in the top 5, if Caitlin Clark is not on the ballot, is not in that top 5.
As the WNBA continues to expand in popularity and awareness, it's important that the league gets its MVP vote right. Players like Caitlin Clark represent the future of women's basketball and deserve recognition for their efforts. Rachel Demita's impassioned cry for change connects with both fans and experts. Whether the WNBA listens remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, the MVP race will never be the same again. Rachel Demita has begun a discussion, not simply a rant against the MVP system. Her outspoken assessment has compelled fans and observers to examine how the WNBA judges its greatest players, and the debate is likely to continue for years.
Caitlin has all of those. She is tied for steals with Nafisa. And if you watch Asia play, you can see how she dominates the game. Like, she's...
Only time will tell if Caitlin Clark receives the accolades she deserves. But one thing is certain. With voices like Rachel Demita's on her side, Clark's case for MVP will not be overlooked. Thanks for watching today's video. If you appreciated this deconstruction of Rachel Demita's blistering criticism, please like, subscribe, and press the notification bell. We'll be keeping a close watch on the WNBA MVP race throughout the season, so stay tuned for more updates and analysis.
Have you seen how Caitlin Clark has been generating news across all sports media platforms recently? If you haven't seen him, you're missing out on one of the most entertaining basketball players of all time. Caitlin Clark has taken the sports world by storm, becoming a household name for skill, confidence, and game-changing performances. What began as a rising star in the collegiate basketball scene has swiftly evolved into a legend who is transforming the way we think about women's basketball, and she has now managed to humble ESPN journalists in a manner that no one expected.
Howard blocked by Boston. Here comes Caitlin. Get it!
For years, ESPN and other sports publications have been chastised for underrepresenting women's sports, notably their coverage of the WNBA. However, Caitlin Clark has not only changed the narrative around women's basketball, but she has also pushed the media to sit up and pay notes in a manner they have never done before. With her on-court domination, fearless demeanor, and large fan following, she has embarrassed big media outlets, pushing them to see the grandeur of women's basketball that they previously disregarded. In doing so, she has propelled the WNBA to a level of notoriety that will permanently change the landscape.
And that's the way to push the ball in transition. Oh, that's not gonna waste much time. Caitlin Clark has...
Prior to Caitlin Clark's rise to popularity, the media, especially ESPN, mostly overlooked women's basketball. Their coverage of the WNBA was often scant and limited to off-peak hours, while in-depth analysis and big promotional efforts were mostly kept for men's sports. This neglect was especially evident when it came to players like Clark, whose extraordinary performances and numbers would have made headlines if they had occurred in the men's game. ESPN has an opportunity to get ahead of the curve by seeing Clark's potential early on. Her collegiate accomplishments were nothing short of spectacular, with her ability to score from any position on the floor, her passing range, and her basketball IQ garnering her comparisons to NBA great. However, the conventional sports media was reluctant to respond, often focusing on other issues and downplaying Clark's pioneering achievements.
Game attendance and per-game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league.
As Clark's impact expanded, it became clear that she was not receiving the press she deserved. Fans of the game started to wonder why one of the most entertaining players in basketball, male or female, was not getting the respect she plainly deserved. As a consequence, ESPN found itself playing catch-up, attempting to reclaim trust with basketball fans who had already made Caitlin Clark a household name. Caitlin Clark's ascent to popularity started long before the media welcomed her. She dominated college basketball, guiding her team to stunning feats that often left spectators and experts stunned. Clark became a highlight machine thanks to her 40-point performances, ability to shoot from deep, and remarkable talent for finding teammates with beautiful passes.
What's different about winning this a second time?
I think it's a little different. I think the biggest thing for myself is like, this is my senior year. It's
her efforts in the NCAA women's basketball tournament were especially memorable, and it was during these high-stakes games that she fully established herself on a national scale. Clark led the Iowa Hawkeyes far into the tournament, putting up stat lines to match even the finest male athletes. Her aggressive approach to the game, pulling up for shots from far beyond the arc, facing multiple defenders, and producing clutch plays in crunch time, became the focus of the basketball world. Despite the media's slow response, fans were already deeply immersed in Clark's story. Social media became the forum for sharing, dissecting, and admiring her achievements. Videos of her performances went viral, with supporters praising her great skill while lamenting the lack of media attention she was getting.
WNBA Player of the Week, Surprise, surprise! Indiana Fever rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. It's nothing really.
It all came to a head when Caitlin Clark's name became too prominent to ignore. During her most recent season, Clark delivered a streak of memorable performances. She broke records, guided her team to spectacular triumphs, and secured her legacy as one of the sport's finest players. However, ESPN, which was reluctant to recognize her full significance, continued to understate her accomplishments in their reporting.
Notched the first triple-double ever by a WNBA rookie and the first in Fever franchise history.
This all changed when Clark's fans and the rest of the basketball community decided to take action. The disparity between her performances and the media's lackluster coverage reached a critical point. Fans flooded social media with footage of Clark's highlights, criticizing ESPN for neglecting to give her the recognition she deserved. It became evident that conventional media outlets were out of touch with the basketball community, and ESPN found itself on the losing end of the argument. ESPN's humiliation came when Clark produced a game so dominating that ignoring it became impossible. After another outstanding performance in a nationally broadcast game, ESPN had no option but to give Clark the recognition she had long deserved. However, it was too late. The basketball world was already beyond them, and ESPN's effort to catch up seemed forced and fake.
Can you believe that? It's hard to believe. Well, this is where we land to Chicago Sky down in 7th place, Indiana Fever.
Caitlin Clark's influence went beyond insulting the media. It also altered the course of the WNBA. Historically, the WNBA has failed to attract the same amount of media attention and fan enthusiasm as its male counterpart, the NBA. This lack of attention created a vicious cycle in which the league was unable to increase its fan base, and the media defended the lack of coverage by citing poor ratings. Clark's ascension has given the WNBA fresh vigor, not only because of her skill, but also because of how she has engaged fans. The media, obliged to recognize her brilliance, began to pay greater attention to the WNBA, and as a result, fans began to pay closer attention to the league as well. Clark's popularity grew, and more people tuned in to see her play, whether as a final-year college student or a prospective WNBA star.
You know, it doesn't happen without them. It doesn't happen without the amazing coaches. And, you know, to kind of end my career in this note and hopefully winning a national title would be perfect.
ESPN and other sites, seeing their error in underestimating Clark's power, started to enhance their WNBA coverage, focusing on the league's stars in ways they hadn't before. This change in focus is creating opportunities for other outstanding players in the WNBA, giving them the recognition they deserve and helping to expand the league. Caitlin Clark's presence has altered not just the media's perception of women's basketball, but also how other WNBA players are seen. Clark's leadership has had a knock-on effect, with media outlets now covering other league players more extensively. Players like Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu are profiting from the increasing attention as the media recognizes the WNBA's potential as a major sports organization.
45 blocks last year, Clark for three! Clark, they said she has redefined what a good shot is.
Clark's impact extends to the way the game is played. Her distinctive basketball style, fast-paced, long-range shooting, and high basketball IQ has inspired younger players who see her as a role model. Her confidence and talent on the court have redefined what it means to be a dominating player in women's basketball, and other players are beginning to mimic her approach. In doing so, she contributes to the evolution of the game and raises the standard of play across the league. Caitlin Clark's ascension occurs at a time when the WNBA is poised for expansion. The league's viewership has steadily increased in recent years, and Clark's effect is just speeding up that trend. As more people tune in to see her play, the league is gaining a new generation of fans who are optimistic about the future of women's basketball.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands and, you know, be grateful that my team was in that position.
This increase in popularity also results in financial growth. With increased media and fan interest, the WNBA's sponsorship and broadcast contracts are growing more valuable. Brands who were previously reluctant to invest in women's basketball are now recognizing opportunities for expansion, which is helping to raise the league's image. Caitlin Clark's impact will continue to be an important part of the WNBA narrative as it grows. Her ability to captivate fans and command media attention is changing the league's perception, and her sustained success will will further strengthen the WNBA's position in the mainstream sports world. Caitlin Clark hasn't simply embarrassed ESPN, she's revolutionized the game. Her ascent to prominence has caused the media to reconsider how it covers women's sports, and as a result, the WNBA has received unprecedented attention. Her impact not only helps the league expand, but also inspires the next generation of basketball players. Clark's impact will be recognized not just for her extraordinary skill, but also for shifting the debate around women's basketball. By demanding the credit she deserves, she has created opportunities for other players and helped propel the sport to new heights. Caitlin Clark's effect has contributed significantly to the WNBA's continued popularity. She has shown that women's basketball is just as interesting, competitive, and deserving of attention as any other sport, permanently altering the landscape of the WNBA. The league's future looks better than ever, and Caitlin Clark is leading the way. The WNBA has always been very competitive, with players putting their heart and soul into every game. But lately, the discussion surrounding the MVP award has reached a fever pitch. A'ja Wilson, one of the WNBA's brightest talents, went off on what she sees as a tremendous injustice in the MVP race: Caitlin Clark's rejection of the prize title. What followed was nothing short of explosive, as A'ja Wilson launched a rage, sending shockwaves across the WNBA and its fandom.
Kelsey Plum playing Caitlin Clark, no catch, meaning she's not trying to let her get it back.
In this video, we'll explore the events that occurred, including why A'ja Wilson lost her cool and the drama surrounding Caitlin Clark's rejection. So brace up as we discuss what may be one of the most dramatic moments in WNBA history. To understand why A'ja Wilson's response was so strong, we must first accept her role in the WNBA. Since being selected as the first overall choice by the Las Vegas Aces in 2018, A'ja has been nothing short of exceptional. Her aggressive playing style, ability to dominate in the paint, and leadership characteristics have earned her a household name. Wilson, a two-time MVP and Olympic gold medalist, has constantly been in contention for the league's top honors. Wilson's intense competition and constant desire for achievement distinguish her as a great athlete. However, they also led to her angry response to Caitlin Clark's elimination from the MVP contest. Wilson's aggravation spilled out in a spectacular fashion as he understood the pressure and grandeur of winning the MVP award.
Indiana Fever rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. It's nothing really to say other than that. She's winning Rookie of the Year. She's a top candidate for league MVP honors. She ain't beating A'ja Wilson for the MVP.
Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, has been surging to the forefront of the WNBA discourse. Clark was drafted by the Indiana Fever and joined the league with lofty hopes, and she has not disappointed. Caitlin Clark, known for her exceptional shooting range, court awareness, and ability to score from nearly anywhere, has made a significant impact in her first season. Many fans and commentators anticipated her not only to win Rookie of the Year, but also to be a strong contender for MVP.
A little step-up action right here.
Boston gets it back to Clark, sidesteps Howard, she will launch and knock down a three.
Clark's ability to perform well under pressure distinguishes her from other athletes. Whether it's hitting three-pointers from beyond the arc or providing clutch assists, she's constantly shown she can carry her team through the most difficult games. Despite this, Caitlin Clark's outstanding accomplishments did not transfer into MVP accolades this season, which has prompted great criticism, particularly among players such as A'ja Wilson.
The WNBA, she's just the fourth player to shoot at least 70% from three-point range on at least 20 three-point attempts.
The WNBA MVP award is one of the most coveted in the league. The award is given to the player regarded most important to their team's success, which is frequently determined by a mix of individual numbers, team performance, and on-court leadership. This year, however, the battle for MVP got acrimonious, with players, fans, and pundits all disputing who should win the title.
Caitlin Clark. It's nothing really to say other than that. She's winning Rookie of the Year. She's a top candidate for league MVP honors. She ain't beating A'ja Wilson for the MVP, but she's beating Angel Reese for the Rookie of the Year. That's a wrap. That's over. And props to Angel Reese, who's had a good year, by the way. Quick hitter number 3 goes to Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese.
A'ja Wilson was once again in contention for MVP following another outstanding season. However, many believe that Caitlin Clark, despite being a rookie, had played at an MVP caliber level, making her a viable contender for the title.
And that's what the worst of cynics and critics do. And so you knew they were going to come for you. You had to know that. Now, to the degree that they're doing so, I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. But keep your spirits up, because you're at a decisive advantage, Angel Reese. You're at a decisive advantage because they made the mistake of letting you know who they are, whoever those people are. And now you have perfect justification for keeping people at bay and not letting people too close where they could potentially hurt you. It's something most people usually learn when they get older. You learned it younger, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Fans and observers cited Clark's domination on the court, ability to lead the Indiana Fever to the playoffs, and record-breaking statistics as reasons why she should be chosen MVP. Many people, including A'ja Wilson, were outraged by Caitlin Clark's exclusion from the MVP competition. But what actually transpired that prompted Wilson's public outburst?
She's pretty incredible. I mean, you watch her and it's unguardable. There's nothing anybody can do to stop it. Like, she's just that dominant, whether it's her mid-range game.
Just 2 minutes earlier, A'ja Wilson resorted to social media to express her displeasure, and it was not nice. In a series of angry tweets, Wilson lashed out at the WNBA, calling Caitlin Clark's MVP rejection absurd and a complete joke. She expressed surprise that someone of Clark's caliber could be left out of the MVP race, particularly given her effect on the league this season.
By any means necessary, KP's going to do it on both sides of the basketball, and she's one of the most hardworking players I've ever seen play the game of basketball. She's always in the gym. Like, when they say first one in.
Wilson did not hold back. In one of her postings, she said, "I can't believe we're out here pretending Caitlin Clark didn't just change the game for the WNBA. How will you ignore that? This league is sleeping on the future, which is disgusting." Her response was quick and strong, sparking a blaze of debate among fans and teammates. The Twitter storm was just the beginning. Wilson's words grabbed the attention of media outlets and sports commentators who jumped right on the topic. Wilson was clearly furious, not just about the rejection, but also about what it meant for the WNBA. To her, the league's inability to recognize Clark's genius seemed like a step backward in terms of advancing the game and promoting fresh talent.
It's time for WNBA Today because we have a big game tonight. Two of the most prolific #1 overall picks in WNBA history. They go head to head as Caitlin Clark and the Fever host A'ja Wilson and the defending champion Aces. Now, A'ja has dominated in their matchups, winning both meetings so far, but we know that Caitlin has just been a revelation in her rookie season, and Clark was asked about the challenges that come with facing A'ja Wilson.
As soon as A'ja Wilson's words reached social media, replies poured in from all over the internet. Fans of both Wilson and Clark were quick to respond, with many repeating Wilson's comments. The hashtag Caitlin Clark for MVP started trending on Twitter, with supporters urging the WNBA to rethink its MVP selection. Even players from around the league joined in. Several renowned WNBA players tweeted in favor of A'ja Wilson's outburst, stating that Caitlin Clark's absence from the MVP contest was unjust. Kelsey Mitchell, Clark's Indiana Fever teammate, tweeted, "I've been saying this. Caitlin has been on fire all season. How is she not in the MVP conversation?"
Two-time WNBA MVP A'ja Wilson joined us here on SportsCenter. A'ja, I hope you could hear some of the stats we were just throwing at the audience coming off that game. You guys started 5-5 in the season, but you've won 5 straight now. What do you attribute to this recent run of success?
I mean, just trusting the process, but also our defensive end. I think we really settled down on the defensive end, and that's where we can really play our basketball. But sometimes you got to trust the process. Adversity hit us a little early, but I'm glad it did, so we can learn how to grind out wins because this league is way too good. So we're slowly getting back to Aces basketball in our system, and I'm feeling like we're at the right time of our season right now.
28 points, 9 rebounds for you, season high 34 for Kelsey Plum. She was reluctant to talk too much about herself a few moments ago with Angel Gray. What do you say about Kelsey Plum as it relates to doing what is necessary to win a game?
By any means necessary, KP's going to do it on both sides of the basketball, and she's one of the most hardworking players I've ever seen play the game of basketball. She's always in the gym. Like, when they say first one in, last one to leave, that is...
On the other side, other fans believe Wilson's reaction was disrespectful and unwarranted. Critics claim that Wilson should concentrate on her performance and let the MVP process unfold. Nonetheless, the vast majority of fans seem to agree with Wilson, claiming that Clark's rejection was one of the most contentious in recent WNBA history.
So here is the scouting report from Caitlin Clark. I mean, look at those words. Mid-range game. She can put it on the floor. Defensive player, unguardable. We are witnessing the greatest scoring.
As the uproar over her MVP snub heated up, all eyes shifted to Caitlin Clark herself. Fans and media outlets were curious how the emerging celebrity would react to the outpouring of support from A'ja Wilson and others. However, Caitlin Clark has yet to comment on the topic. Clark's choice to remain silent might be strategic. Clark, known for her professionalism and maturity both on and off the court, may choose to let her game speak for itself rather than become involved in the continuing turmoil. Nonetheless, her silence has not prevented admirers from guessing her true feelings about the MVP snub.
The only reason that I brought up the first part about Angel Reese is this. Caitlin Clark is box office. She is a star. And Angel Reese is to be completely believed that there's no hate. They both get along. They're cool with each other. They're high-end competitors, etc., etc. But you've known they were coming for you when you were waving your hands in your face to mock Caitlin Clark when you were beating her for the national championship. And you also are old enough to know that in this society, whether they want to admit it or not,
some anticipate Clark will ultimately issue a statement or discuss the subject in a post-game interview. Others believe she prefers to concentrate on her next game and is keen to prove the critics wrong with her performance on the court. Whatever her answer, one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark's MVP rejection has become the talk of the league.
With A'ja Wilson, who is having career highs across the board. And there are 3 ways that make A'ja Wilson great, and I'll show you exactly as we take it to the court, starting with her.
To properly comprehend the intensity of A'ja Wilson's response, you must first understand the importance of the MVP award in the WNBA. The MVP award is more than simply individual honors. It reflects a player's effect on their club and the league as a whole. For many players, receiving the MVP award represents the pinnacle of their hard work, devotion, and contributions to the game.
A'ja Wilson with Wilson mid-range, where she's 2 for 2.
For A'ja Wilson, who has won the honor twice, the MVP title means much more. Wilson understands what it takes to be an MVP and is grateful for the honor. This is likely contributing to her displeasure at Caitlin Clark's omission from the MVP contest, as she believes Clark deserves equal praise for her game-changing performance. Furthermore, the MVP award has the potential to shape a player's legacy. Winning the MVP not only secures a player's place in history, but also opens the door to sponsorships, media, opportunities, and future success in their career. For a rookie like Caitlin Clark, earning MVP in her first season would have been a huge accomplishment, perhaps propelling her career to even higher heights.
3 closeouts each possession, and if you do that, you're probably going to have a team in rotation, and you're probably going to have some mismatches.
Clark step back 3.
Another issue contributing to the MVP dispute is the media's involvement in framing the narrative. Sports media has an important role in promoting player achievements, changing public opinion, and eventually influencing awards such as MVP. Throughout the season, the media concentrated on established players like A'ja Wilson and Breanna Stewart, while Caitlin Clark, despite her amazing season, received less national recognition. This media prejudice may have contributed to Clark's MVP snub. As Wilson pointed out in her outburst, the league and its media partners may be sleeping on the future, failing to identify the next generation of potential. The WNBA is at a crucial point, and Caitlin Clark represents the league's future. Ignoring her in the MVP debate sends the wrong message to fans and aspiring athletes who look up to Clark as a role model.
When you're talking about Caitlin, I think there's no denying her ability to influence your offense, right? When you think about different players, you think about, oh, they can really score the ball. They can really push the ball in transition.
A'ja Wilson's response to Caitlin Clark's MVP rejection underlines her status as a WNBA leader. During her career, Wilson has utilized her position to advocate for topics that are important to her, like social, justice, and improved compensation and recognition for WNBA players. Wilson's current outburst is just another example of her sticking up for what she feels to be right. Wilson's leadership goes beyond her team and performance. By openly criticizing the WNBA's MVP selection, she advocates for justice and pushes the league to develop. Her willingness to speak up, even at the risk of causing controversy, demonstrates her commitment to the future of the WNBA and her desire to see players like Caitlin Clark get the credit they deserve.
She's been hot, shooting 43% during that time from the 3-point line.
Wilson all mid-range and all day.
With the debate in full swing, the major question is, how will the WNBA react? The league has yet to release a formal comment on Caitlin Clark's MVP snub or A'ja Wilson's angry response. However, considering the severity of the debate and the broad attention it has received, the WNBA may feel pressured to address the issue. The league might react in many ways. It may address the criticism and explain the MVP selection process, or it could sit mute and let the topic flow naturally. In any case, the league must tread cautiously since this issue has the potential to influence public opinion of the MVP award and the WNBA's dedication to developing new talent.
We do that in the WNBA.
As the MVP debate continues, both Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson will surely be in the limelight. Clark's MVP disappointment might inspire her future performances. She's already established herself to be a powerhouse on the court, and this recent development may encourage her to climb even higher in her career. This event demonstrates A'ja Wilson's leadership and enthusiasm for the game. While her reaction was dramatic, it also demonstrates how much she cares about the league's future and the recognition of good players. Wilson's willingness to stand up for Caitlin Clark might cement her place as one of the WNBA's most important leaders, both on and off the field.
Some people didn't expect her to be as good as she was early. I did. I thought she would be.
To summarize, A'ja Wilson's emotional response to Caitlin Clark's MVP rejection has sparked a discourse about more than just one prize. It's a conversation about the WNBA's future, how to recognize emerging talent, and how leadership shapes the league. As we wait to see how the WNBA reacts, one thing is certain: this will be recognized as a watershed event in the league's history. Caitlin Clark's influence on the WNBA is evident, and although she may have been overlooked this season, her future is very promising. A'ja Wilson's strong enthusiasm continues to drive the discourse, and her leadership on and off the court establishes her as a real legend in the sport.